Goes traffic. Yes, this morning, of course, we are very pleased to have a special guest with us this morning. I know you guys are accustomed to having me on a Friday talking sports, but this morning we felt it necessary to have a conversation with Managing Director and Head Coach of Jaric Titans Sports and Development Club. Of course, we had Brian before you guys departed to Manchester talking about all the lovely stuff that you guys would have done or would be doing when you get to Manchester. Talk about the plans that you guys would have had. Because, Brian, I want to thank you firstly for accepting this interview. I'm sure that you would have been elongated with calls. Of course, some say clear the air about the situation with the Manchester Cup. But there's a situation in the public domain right now in terms of the 11-year-old that would have actually remained in the UK. And I want to start off on that front. Can you let's give us an update on that one?
All right. Firstly, good morning. Good morning to all viewers. Good morning, Marcus. All right. It's very good that you would have me here. All right. I thank you for the opportunity. All right. Yes, a young man, unfortunately, had to be kept back in the UK at the very last moment. All right. Because of some passport issues, his passport went missing just as we were about to enter the aircraft, just as we were about to enter the plane. All right. I know, of course, the people would start to bounce around irresponsibility and stuff like that. But it was not the case. All right, let me say that, because all through the trip, the boys were absolutely well taken care of, and these things were looked after. It was, should I say, mandatory that each child come through every checkpoint with their passport. All right, and that passport was handed to him, and taken after every checkpoint. So just before we entered the plane, it was given to him as well. All right, boys being boys, I think they went off to buy some sweets or something like that. All right, he and an older boy. I mean, the media would have it to say he's a 9-year-old. A 9-year-old have his passport. All right, but
what age?
A 15-year-old boy.
15-year-old boy.
Yeah. Went with him. Yeah, of course, the concessions and the little booths is not too far from those check-in areas, from those boarding areas. So maybe about 20 meters away. And on returning, everybody's going on to the airplane, and time for him to board. No passport. And we couldn't find the passport. We couldn't find it. We searched everyone that was there. Of course, the lot of the group had already boarded. And we checked everybody. We sent messages on board for people to check their bags, check their on their person and stuff like that. In the meantime, because we were stalling, the air hostess now, started to hassle people to settle down and stuff like that. So that kind of handled the whole process of a thorough search. All right. And lo and behold, when we got back to Tobago, the said boy that he went to the shop with had the passport. It was in his back pocket. So it was an unfortunate situation. We have since gotten a travel document for him, and he would be flying home tomorrow. All right, he's comfortable. We have looked after we have to buy a fresh ticket.
Right.
Our manager, Tracy Calderas.
So it wasn't a case that you could have changed the ticket?
No, we had to purchase another ticket.
Another ticket.
Yeah, because check-in had already taken place and stuff like that. So that it's like they count that ticket used.
Right.
So we bought the ticket for him and the manager, and he's going to be back home tomorrow. The passport is with his mom.
Right.
We took it to her. All right, so you'd have it to use when he gets back. I think he's comfortable. They're traveling around. I think they went to Buckingham Palace. So
he had an extra few days to have a good time.
Yeah. We have a lady has been like a guardian angel for us over there, Arlene Alexander Price. She's the one that did some work for us on the ground over there, and she came across and helped made the whole thing easy and showed them around and stuff like that. So he's in good hands. He's in good hands. No worries. No worries at all.
That's really good to hear. I mean, Brian, Tobagonians would know you as somebody that would have actually been in charge of children and taking groups to Trinidad and probably around the region.
Yes.
And for sporting reasons, right?
Yes.
Or purposes in that sense.
Yeah.
For those who don't have an idea of who is Brian Browne and Jaric Titans, before we really get into the meat of the matter, can you just give a background of yourself and Jaric Titans Sports and Development Club?
Well, I'm a regular guy, Father, husband, son, brother, professed Christian. All right. Believing, living Christian. I do not just profess it with my mouth. I try my best to profess it with the way I live, with the way I conduct myself. All right. Businessman, sportsman. Well, former sportsman. I know you still try out, but former sportsman. Yeah. But Jaric Titans. Yes, I am the one that formed it. Out of, I would be eternally grateful to Anglican Primary School. All right. From that school is where the club was formed. All right. We started with a couple boys, maybe 10 or 11 boys, and we have grown, so much over the years. All right. We have always intended not just to play cricket and football, but to affect change. To effect change in the lives of young people. All right. The truth is, Marcus, not everybody, hardly anybody, should I say, would end up being a professional footballer based on records, based on history. How many professional footballers do we have coming out of Tobago? Not many. All right. We want to try and change that, but we also want to try and change people's life because we have also seen that a massive percent of guys that play football and cricket at an early age, by the time they get late teens and early 20s, they're no longer playing, they're going off on something else. So that is also a major part of what we try, what we aspire to do. All right. Exposing these boys. You rightfully said we have been around the region, Barbados, Grenada, St. Lucia. We have been around the region a couple times. We have been to Trinidad several times and stuff like that. And it's all to show these boys and these girls that there's more to life than what you think, than what you see. You could aspire to be something more than what your community might be showing. What the Tobago space might be showing in itself. So you can aspire to greater than that.
And Brian, outside of the region and Trinidad, this was the first international trip that you guys would have undertaken?
No.
So you'd have done it before?
Yes, we would have done it before. In 2019, we partnered with Sir Gibbs and Janelle and Mr. Boswain and those guys from Eagles, and we went to Germany. All right, and that was a good trip. Good trip. Royal Shepherd, who is there, he was very integral in getting the boys to come up there. Of course, it was not such a big group, but they went and they had a grand time as well. Opened their eyes. I looked at that young team that we have playing in the competition in Trinidad. I just got a glimpse at the game yesterday, or the warm-up really. Somebody sent it in a chat and some of the guys were coming out. And I saw quite a number of boys that went on that Germany trip playing on that Tobago senior team. I mean, sometimes you plant and you don't expect to bear fruit the next day. It takes time. So I'm happy to know that some of the boys, Zion and those guys are coming through and doing well.
Brian, I mean, the entire country, and I think those living abroad, was very shocked. You're not that person on social media. To see you on that day that you guys would have departed. In fact, when you guys arrived in England, to see you, your good self, in a video, asking for support via GoFundMe for accommodation. As I mentioned before, we had you here before you departed, and we spoke about the plans coming along. You mentioned a budget of what, 3 million, I think, or just close to 3 million. And
over 2 million.
And an impression, of course, myself and obviously the public would have actually gotten from that comment, that interview we did, that everything was in place for the trip. Tell me about that video that you made. You mentioned that plans and commitments were made and they weren't honored. Let us get into that discussion. You got a course there and you asked for accommodation. So you left Tobago. Obviously, you had the flights purchased. And tell me about the accommodation part of things there.
All right. Marcus, you have traveled.
Yes.
Right? You played cricket in England. One of the big things, or one of the main things to getting into England, to setting foot outside of that airport, is presenting some address.
Yes, you have to, because you can't get through immigration.
You have to present them with some
where you're going to stay.
Where you're going to stay.
Yes.
Right? So immediately, you know that we had some place to stay.
Okay. And that was the Hilton?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's supposed to be Holiday Inn.
Holiday Inn?
Yes. All right, but we will get to that. All right, so we had some place to stay. The plea that was made was for assistance to pay, to help cover the cost of that, not to find the accommodation.
Right.
So it's not, so contrary to what some of the media houses are purporting and publishing, we were not on the street. We were not out in the cold.
Right.
That was never the case.
So some payment.
Yes.
Right. You made payment before you arrived in England.
Yes.
That was basically to hold the accommodation.
Pretty much.
But then you had to pay an amount.
Yes.
To confirm the amount of days you're going to stay there for.
Right. Well, we know the amount of days. We know the amount of days. Right. But it's just a question of honoring our part of the commitment, because the organizers, which is Eurosport, they are the ones that doing all the transactions for us. So we were not in direct contact with the hotel per se, but we understand that the greatest bill, the biggest bill that we have would be accommodation. Hence the reason why we use the accommodation up front, because that is going to take the most money.
So accommodation would have cost like around what?
Maybe about, I can't break down the accommodation, but per person, it may have cost about £1,200 for the 9 days.
And the equation is...
And that would be accommodation, transportation, food, stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So but you mentioned before you left, you paid a figure.
Yeah.
Right? And you had outstanding how much you had to pay Eurosport? Eurosport. How much outstanding you had to pay Eurosport? That would not have caused you to do a live action for
repeat that?
Right. You paid a fee, right?
Yeah.
To book the hotel.
Right.
As Holiday Inn, right?
Yes.
And then when you got to England, you realized that you were still short of how much?
Somewhere in the vicinity of $80,000 to $100,000.
$80,000 to $100,000.
Yes.
That's TT?
Pounds.
That's pounds. So
Yes.
but is the $10 is
$9.
$9. So okay. So in the vicinity of about $800,000, right?
Right.
And that's the commitment and the plans you spoke about.
Yes.
That someone made a commitment to pay that figure and that income shoe.
Yes.
And then you realize that in shit streak.
Well, in uncertain terms,
In uncertain terms. So it wasn't a case that you left here not knowing that where you're gonna stay,
no,
and in a case that some form of money is won't pay to the
never the case, Marcus. Because at this point, more than $1.5 million would have been invested, right? That is from fundraising, contributions from individuals, and stuff like that. So we were very much deep in it, right? We were fully committed. Teams were, should I say, well prepared. All right. I continue to give shout out to the coaches that were working 4 days a week, 5 days a week to get the teams prepared. All right. Let me stop and sincerely apologize to Brother Rise and his team, because he was one of the coaches that was preparing the U11 boys to go forward, U14 boys to go forward to the tournament. And, unfortunately, different things occurred and they didn't make the trip. Liston and his wife, they were working tirelessly. And unfortunately, they didn't make it as well. They were in charge of the U11. So we had to make some adjustment with the coaches while we were up there. But yeah, I sincerely apologize. And to anybody else that would have, were looking and expecting to go and didn't make the trip, we genuinely apologize.
Was there any moment at all, Brad, even before you left here, that you guys were considering to postpone, cancel this trip?
Yes, Marcus, yes. The thought, the conversation, it came up.
And it came about because the commitments that you guys would have been given, it just wasn't forthcoming at the time, or it wasn't looking positive.
Even before that, right? Before that, because even before that commitment was made, we, of course, we looking at the figures, looking at what we have to pay and stuff like that, and we are thinking, we might be a long way short. We gave it a good, solid effort. We raised funds, we asked for contributions and stuff like that, but we still are fair way short. All right. Yes, we covered probably about 60% of it, but we're still a long way out. All right. Then, we went and we started asking around and stuff like that, and all right, so we got assurance that this is all right. We're gonna cover the rest. That is fine. Right. You could go ahead and you could go on your trip.
Right. So that's the commitment you're talking about.
On that, yes.
And you don't want to call.
No, definitely.
You don't want to mention who would have given that commitment.
Definitely not.
Right. So who are some of the persons that you guys would have approached for support for the trip? Persons or establishments who would have approached for the trip?
Of course, Jaric Health and Safety That is the name that we carry. All right. They made a contribution. Even let me go to the major contributors outside of Jaric.
Right.
Double B Enterprise. They have stood by the club from inception. You know. All right. Dominion Appliances came in even after the GoFundMe, after that video. And he's always supportive. He's always, Mr. Vern Joseph, he's always encouraging. All right. And, you know, and he's one of those people that would always put his money where his mouth is. You know. All right. Patricia's Bakery, which is, of course, an affiliate to Jet Muddy or Double B's. That's my sister. All right. And they were the ones that probably contributed the most.
Right.
But we cannot discredit those people that given their $500 and from all the way from England, Londis, and the guys from VNS and from the USA, you know, and so much was given outside of GoFundMe, you know, because some people don't understand how to use it and stuff like that.
So is it safe to say on record that in terms of support, you got none from, say, the government or none from the THE? And the support that you got in terms of AFA, you got that from fundraisers and from private sector.
Very safe to say that.
Right, and then, but you would have applied to the different arms of the state?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brian, some would have asked why such a elaborate stay, Hilton or Holiday Inn? Why not probably a bed and breakfast?
Now we want to live with best life. Not no Marcus. Now, but those things are not has nothing to do with us. Eurosport, who are the organizers of the tournament, they are the ones that were making all of our arrangements. They are the ones that booked
the same for the other teams that participated in the event?
For most of the other teams. We were in the hotel with other teams.
Okay.
So people have it to say other teams staying wherever.
Yeah.
That might be true, but there were other teams that were in the same hotels with us.
Okay.
We had the same arrangement. Staying in the same place, traveling on similar, well, not on the same bus, but had the same travel arrangements, where this coach would come and take up the entire team and stuff like that. Yeah. But they were the ones that making the arrangement from that side.
Okay, and how would you respond to also persons are saying that the tournament 2 days, two days,
yes,
but you guys stayed for 10 days?
All right, well, it's 9.
9 days.
Right. And you eliminate 2 for traveling.
Right.
When you get there, you travel from Ting to Manchester, and then when you have to leave, you have to travel from Manchester back to London. So that is 2 days. So we're down to 7 days. One, you want that 2 or 3 days before to acclimatize, right? So we got there Saturday and Sunday. You play the tournament, and Monday, the boys had a break. Tuesday, we went to Frodsham Junior Football Academy.
What's that?
Frodsham Junior Football Academy. They are connected to Everton Football Club. And wow, Marcus. They are the leading junior academy in England. Not in Lancashire, not in Manchester, in the whole of England. Right? And the facility is really nice. Really, really nice. You know, and they hosted us for a day. We played some games, we interacted with them. They are super excited to get to Tobago next year. So just as I said here on the interview before I left, to make some connections, nail down some commitments, and they are eager to get here. Not just with boys, because they're saying that they want to bring girls. So we don't have a girls team at Titans, but like I always said, this is bigger than Titans. This is bigger than us. So girls teams on the islands would get a chance to play, you know. But nothing confirmed as yet. It's just in the conversation stage. You know, so we're hoping that would work out. We have also had a chance to interact with guys from Scotland, from in the Middle East, from Marcus. It's amazing, man. It's amazing. Yeah. So we also went to after the tournament, we had a chance to go to Man City. All right. Well, if Frodsham is good, Man City is about 10 times that, because you're going in a place where you have about 20 football fields.
Wait, so you bypassed Manchester United and went to Man City?
Right. we did visit the Manchester facility. You know, we had that was one of the off-field trips. You know, guys went there, they took pictures, they went to the mega store, they got memorabilia, they buy the jerseys and stuff like that. So that is one of the main things. And having been there, it really confirms that Manchester United is the greatest club in England. regardless of the way they stand on the table.
Round of applause, please. Round of applause, please.
It's not my team. It's not my team really, but you had to get jacket.
Yeah.
You know, and to see the amount of people and the hype and the buzz around them, little children playing football outside, and people just. You know, it's like a freak. It's like, you know, it's attracting people from all over.
And I don't know, but I must come back to this, Brian.
Yeah.
I mean, because just hearing you speak about outside of the footballing part of things, these youngsters will have enjoyed visiting Man City, visiting Manchester United, and they're going to remember for years to come.
Yes.
I mean, and are you surprised, or are you disappointed that even the ministry or the Tobago Assembly didn't come on board in supporting such a trip?
All right. I have been contacted by the Tobago Assembly. I actually have a meeting this morning with the chief ad. All right, so to say that they have not come on board, I can't say that.
Right.
All right, because they have reached out, and we're going to try and iron out whatever balances we have left.
Right.
You know, we're going to try and iron that out.
Yeah.
So, you know, confirmation with that would be forthcoming.
But you also approached the THA for support before for the budget. You had a budget of 3 million, and you mentioned that you would have sent to different arms.
Yes.
Right. But I know you don't want to publicly say who would have given promises, right? But can you say who you would have approached?
No, I can't say.
You can't say who you approached.
No, I will not say.
Oh, you will not say. You
No,
choose
no,
choose
no.
not to say.
I choose not to say.
Or you're going to say sometime down the road.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
And what's the outstanding figure now? If you can.
No, I'm not going to disclose that as well.
Okay.
All right, because I want to have that conversation with the admin before that is in the public space.
But how is that looking? Is that looking positive?
Yes, yes, I think it is. I think it's definitely looking positive.
Right.
You know, it's just a question of settling on the figure, whatever the figure is, because we have to get an invoice from Eurosport.
Okay.
And when that comes, so once again, I cannot give you a definite. I would just be guesstimating kind of way.
Okay.
So once we get that invoice, once we get the total figure, I will chat with admin. Hopefully that invoice is here already.
Right.
And we chat with admin this morning, and then we take it from there. So the public would know.
Okay. And that's to take care of only accommodation.
That would take no. The accommodation is not just the accommodation. It comes with a package from Eurosport.
Okay. Okay.
Ground transport, meals, accommodation. That is what they're taking care of, and some one or two little incidental tours. You know.
Yeah.
Frills as they call it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Brian, what we'll do, we take a short break, right?
Yes.
And we'll come back, we'll talk more about, the results of the tour.
Yes.
Some of the positive down the road as well.
Yes, yes.
So viewers, we're going to take a short break. We come back, and of course, we're chatting with Coach Brian Browne out of Jaric Titans Sports and Development Club, talking about the Manchester trip. So we're going to take a short break. Guys, don't forget to share the live, share the live, share the live.
From place to place. Good morning.
Hi guys, welcome back to this beautiful Monday morning here in Trinidad and Tobago. We're chatting with Jaric Titans, Managing Director of Jaric Titans Sports and Development Club, Mr. Brian Browne. Yes. And Brian, of course, just to continue the conversation, I want to talk about the contingent that you guys would have actually taken a course. Actually, who actually made a trip? How many persons made a trip? And how many persons you had planned to carry in the first instance?
All right, so you could go back on the interview that we had before.
Yes.
And you would hear me say that we had maybe about 80.
About 80
odd, right? And you know,
this is inclusive of players and
players, staff,
okay,
some parents,
80, yes.
Stuff like that.
This is Jaric Titans solely.
No.
Or this was inclusion with the other.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. All right. And then the interest started to build, and people were coming on. Eventually, we only had 87 people, right? Maybe about 60 odd active, maybe 50 something active players, 15-ish members of staff, and then some parents. All right. You're taking U9 boys, U10 boys. You know that some parents will want to come along. That is a given. All right. So that amount.
So the sponsorship that you guys were asking for, that would have covered adults as well too.
Yes, of course, they are part of the traveling body.
Because there's a report that Friol actually made a trip. And some people are saying that what is a 3-year-old doing on a trip such as that because he can't participate? Can you confirm there was a 3-year-old there?
Well, there was a 2-year-old, or a 1-year-old.
Right.
All right. And of course he can't participate.
Right.
But he have parents or he have guardians.
So and obviously the sponsorship covered the parents as well.
Some of the parents, yes.
Some of the parents. So some of the parents paid for themselves.
Some of the parents paid.
But some of the funds went to other parents.
Yes,
of course, airfare, accommodation, and
yes,
okay.
yes. Not the sponsorship.
Not the sponsorship.
Airfare, everybody the club dealt with that.
Right.
right? The general sponsorship was to deal with Eurosport.
Okay.
And the accommodation, the ground transport, we didn't get that. AFA is out of the question. That was taken care of in full.
Okay.
The club sorted that out, right? So any funds that we were soliciting was towards given to Eurosport for accommodation, AFA, accommodation, food, and ground transport.
Right.
Yeah. Adults, the whole body, that is what we were catering to.
Right. So eventually, how many persons made the trip?
87.
87?
Yeah.
Okay, and the 87 persons that made the trip,
Yeah.
they paid for their airfare.
Yes.
From the club.
Yes.
The club paid for their airfare.
Yeah.
And then Eurosports would have taken care of the accommodation.
Yes.
And the sponsorship that you guys were seeking would have taken care of all the parents.
Everybody.
No parent would have
Everybody.
No parent would have paid for themselves.
Not for accommodation.
Not for accommodation.
Well, yes, for accommodation, because they have a group that came up after.
Okay.
Yes?
Right. Because as I said,
Yeah.
it's all about clearness, right? Because
Yes.
they are saying that the parents who attended or who were on the trip,
Yeah.
I mean, why is it that public service, the public
Has to
taxpayers
pay- has to
should
pay for them.
for parents on a trip, a youth development trip?
Yeah.
If you tell me you're paying for 87 children.
Marcus, there are safety laws and safety guidelines that must be carried out.
Right, let me go through that.
So, you're carrying 60, 70 children, you can't carry 2 adults.
Right.
There is a pair, adult to child
Yes.
ratio. So
Yes.
even if we don't want to carry them, some of them have to go because we have 60 something children or whatever the number is, and we have 20 something parents. That is 3 to 1.
Yeah. So the club and
So
and
they have
of course,
So it's not like parents up, they just lying down with sunglasses. People were actively involved.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we had to sometimes assign child to parent, child to parent,
Yes.
child to parent.
Yeah.
So Kerry and they had his child and the next one.
Yeah.
This one had their child and the next one. This one had their child and the next one. No adult that was there without a child.
yes.
You understand? Or without a responsibility to a child or to children.
And the club felt it necessary.
It is
to
absolutely
take it.
necessary.
Okay.
It is absolutely necessary, Marcus.
Tell me about the arrangement with the other clubs that you guys invited to join you to the Manchester trip. How many other clubs joined, and what were their contingent like?
All right, so we started off with TPDP, which is Wendell Moore and Lex Sunday. All right, that is where it started. Then Brother Rice got on board just around the same time. And while I cannot confirm the exact contingent or the party that was that joined, I know that it was a worthwhile, union.
So they requested to join the trip, or you guys extended an invitation?
Yeah, I think we extended the invitation.
Okay.
Right, but it was something that worked extremely well for the group that was there. I know because of the not being able to travel situation, some feelings were hurt, some words were said, and stuff like that. And it happens when you're hurt, right?
So Brian, the sponsorship that you guys were seeking,
Yeah.
would it have covered all the clubs as well, or this was just for Jaric Titans?
No, this would have covered all the boys, regardless of the club.
Okay.
Accommodation for all the players that traveling to play, it would have accommodated those.
And those same clubs were also seeking sponsorship as well?
But not for accommodation.
Oh, so what were they looking for sponsorship for?
I can't say. They would have to answer that. But I know that we were seeking for assistance for Eurosport, which would be accommodation, ground transport, and food.
So because it is in the public domain, only members of the other teams that you invited that would have remained in Tobago.
No, that is not true.
Okay, so
That's not true.
Let's clear up this whole thing, right?
Our president and her family didn't go.
Right.
Susanna McLeod Thomas.
And what was the reason for that?
Well, it's ethical.
Right.
If she's the captain of the ship,
Right.
and other people can't go, she thought it fit that she shouldn't go.
Okay, so
I could call 10 people from directly out of Jaric Titans. There's a lady that comes from Charlottesville every Saturday morning with her child, with 2 children to train by us. Didn't make the trip.
So the clubs, they have, well, I'm guessing here now that every single parent that would have made a trip, right? You had to make a commitment.
Yes.
You had to pay down something.
Yes.
How much you had to pay?
$10,000.
You had to pay $10,000, and that would have assisted with accommodation.
Well, $10,400.
$10,400.
Yeah.
Every single parent.
Every single parent. Yeah.
Right. You had to pay that, and
Yes.
and that was paid.
Yes.
So those that didn't make it, what's happening there?
They would be refunded.
From the club.
Yes.
Okay.
Some of which have already been refunded. You know, but like, it's only a couple of days we have been back. It's just for us to settle, you know, and look at the books, look at who we have to give, and start to disseminate the funds that we have. Give people back their money.
Yeah.
We're not gonna make bones about that.
and Brian, I mean, in hindsight, right? Looking back at the situation, where you think, I mean, the club or this whole trip would have gone. At what stage you felt that, hey, this ain't making sense, right? We're under pressure here. You mentioned that you guys thought about cancelling, right? And that was because you still we were looking for that accommodation, and that was like what? But on the day that you had to travel, a week before, 2 weeks before.
Yeah, the conversation came up a couple of times. All right.
Like
but,
how close to the travel? How close to the traveling date?
Up to a couple of days before.
Right.
You know, it was a thought. You know, but
and this is from the management of the Jaric Titans.
Yeah, from different I don't think I have heard any wavering from the group itself, because for the most part we have kept them out of the managerial side of it, right?
Yes.
Especially the boys. You know, unless somebody outside of the group feeding them information, for the most part we have kept those things within a certain group. So we knew the situation, the severity of the situation, but Marcus, I can't help but talk about the faith and the trust and the belief that we have in God, you know, and we always believe that something is going to work out. Marcus, the hassle, and yes, I've heard people talk about being irresponsible, and if that is the case, well, yes, we have some things to look at. We have to do some introspection. I would not sit here and say that we have done everything right as an executive or as a club, and our motto says excellence on every level, and I don't think we have been excellent at all times in our planning and stuff like that, and we have to do some work there, right? But is it worth the hassle to get these boys an opportunity like this? 1,000 times yes.
And then the questions are also asked about why the Manchester Cup.
Yeah.
You know,
we received an invitation from them.
From Manchester.
Yeah, we received an invitation from them a year ago, and we accepted the invitation. We sat on it. Is it worthy? Is it worthwhile? Should we do it? Can we raise? And it was unanimously said, let us give it a go.
Yeah, and let's get to some of the results up there, because obviously, you know, you just want to talk about all
the negative
stuff.
Yeah.
Tell me about some of the results that you guys would have had.
All right.
And I'm sure, go ahead.
Some of the boys, Marcus, talk to the 60 boys that were on that trip, and I guarantee you'll get the same answer. They had a blast. They had a wonderful time on and off the field, right? We did not win every game. We won some games. You're going to a place where you're meeting high quality football, and even though it's not the competition that we played in is not the top youngsters in the country, because those that are assigned to major clubs cannot participate in that competition, right? So it's more grassroots to just above grassroots you're playing against. But you're seeing some amazing talent, right? And the U11s got to the semifinals. U14s, I think, missed out on goal difference to make it to the finals or the semis. U16s, that is the TDPD boys. They, I think, missed out on goal difference as well. U9s played and came third and fourth because they played 2 tournaments. In all, on this tour, we played more than 30 games. 30 games put together. So it's not like we're up there on a joyride or just living a holiday. In a 7-day period, collective way, we played 30 games. U9s play about 9, U11s played about 9, U14s about 7, and then the bigger boys played. So you know, it was an action pack.
Do you regret? I mean, and regret maybe too strong of a word in that. Had Jaric Titans done this by themselves, you think that, you know, all that would have transpired may not have transpired?
I don't regret.
You don't regret?
I don't regret. Absolutely not. All right. I try not to live by regrets. And like I said, we have some things that we should have done better. I'm not going to cast any blame on anybody because it buck stops with us.
Yeah.
And we should have done some things better. We could have communicated better. That is one of the things that came out of our debriefing yesterday.
Right.
And that is true, albeit so, but we were trying to manage how we disseminate information because the media was all over us, you know. But there are some things we definitely could have done better.
Yeah.
But in terms of partnering with a team or with a club or with persons to go forward, I will do it again.
Yeah.
I will.
Well, what's next for Jaric Titans?
Well, we have some local tournaments, but in terms of major stuff, we have already started the conversation. We are going to England next year for cricket. You're on board. You're on board. You gotta come and take some fire, though.
let me get the money now, eh? Let me get the money by tomorrow.
Yeah, of course, I know the media would be all over us.
Let me get the money by tomorrow.
The media would be all over us
So,
like that. But in seriousness, in all seriousness, we can't stop. Regardless of what people say, regardless of what people do matters, I firmly believe in people.
Yeah.
You know, it have the ones that would preach negative night and day.
Yeah.
It have those, no matter what you do, Jesus Christ walked this earth as a perfect man, and he was crucified. And they chose Barabbas.
you think that the brand that Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago knows, right? You know, your reputation and integrity has been tarnished?
A bit, because it's all over media. It's all over the media, and it will affect some people, and that is reality.
Okay. And what would you want
It does not handbug me as a person. I would continue to do what I'm doing. Okay. You know, I'm not one to take things personally. You know, and I think that has served me well.
Yeah.
I cannot run and snap after everything that everybody says every time. Yeah. So I choose to not take it personally.
It must have been a tough time for yourself and your family.
It is a tough time. You know, but we know the God we serve. Yeah. We know that God has promised that He's going to turn every negative thing around to something good. And we stand on that.
And what would you want to tell the public now?
All right. I really want to thank the public for those that gave support. I did mention Mr. Vern Joseph and Dominion and all the other people that contributed to us in our difficulties, you know, through GoFundMe and stuff like that. Even the persons that spoke negatively, what it does with those comments is gives us a chance to go back and reflect and correct our errors where we have made mistakes. So everybody, whether good or bad, whether positive or negative, we continue to thank you. Yeah. All right. I will continue to say that this project, it is way beyond Jaric Titans. It has to be about Tobago and moving Tobago forward, moving Tobago sportsmen forward. However we do it, let's get it done. Yeah. Because other countries, South Africa was there with a bundle of boys, the Asians were there with a bundle of children, and they are making the investment and making the moves to go to England to expose their children. And we trying to stay here. Yeah. You know, so let's get on board.
Hey, Brian, I want to thank you so much for being here with us. You know, I mean, you're always welcome to Tobago Updates Television. You know, we always want to highlight persons who are contributing to the development of our youngsters within the whole space, Trinidad and Tobago. And thank you very much for coming here to the media, because I know that a lot of persons would have been reaching out to you to get, you know, information. And I'm hoping that those who would have tuned in this morning, some of the questions that you guys would have been answered this morning. If not, I mean, maybe next time we get Brian here to talk about that Manchester trip for cricket, you know.
That would be Lancashire.
Lancashire, you know. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in this morning. A sporting Monday for those who are going back out to school today. Have a good time. Be careful on the roads. Yes, I'm going to show you guys over to Tobago Notes, and that will be followed by Candice Jackson with Good Morning Tobago. Thank you so much, Tobago, for tuning in this morning. Short break, Tobago Notes.